guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Learn to Sew with Nani. And guys, if you're new to this channel, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for stopping by. Please consider subscribing, join the community, join the sewing family. Here I drop sewing tutorials, sewing innovations, sewing tips every week. Alright, so today we're making this lovely jumpsuit or play suit on your screen. Now for this particular tutorial, I'll be making use of 1 yard of African print fabric, and the measurements needed are displayed there on your screen. Right, so the half length for this tutorial is 10 inches for this particular measurement. This is for a chubby 2-year-old. Okay, so first I need to get my measurements. Okay, so the chest divided by 4 plus 2 inches allowance. Okay, so now because we want to cut the front and the back at the same time, so you'll be folding your fabric into 4. Now I folded into the first 2 folds. Okay, then I'm folding again. Now this is into 4 folds. That way you'd cut the front and the back at the same time. All right, so now I'll just mark out my starting point because I don't like the grain lines of the fabric showing in my work. All right, so I'll just mark that as my starting point. Then from there I'll mark the half length I'll be needing for this tutorial. And like I said, for this particular child it is 10 inches, seam allowance inclusive. Okay, seam allowance inclusive. Right, so I'll mark that out, then I'll cut out that point. Okay, just so that we can concentrate on the working piece, all right, on our working fabric. Right, so now we have this is just for the from the shoulder to the half length. Now on that my starting point line, I'm going to mark half of the shoulder measurement. The shoulder is 10 divided by 2 give me 5. Now the chest line is also 5. Okay, because I'll be dividing the bust measurement by 6 plus 1.5. That's how to get this chest line. Okay, that's how to get this line I've chalked out. So right on that chest line, I also mark half of the shoulder measurement. Okay, then connect into a straight line. Right, okay, so this line would be the line to determine your armhole. Now for the neck width and the neck depth. Okay, now if your fabric is moving around, if you're working with chiffon or light fabrics, you can get a pin to pin it together so that it doesn't move around while you're cutting or while you're drafting. So that's what I'm doing now actually. Now so back to the neck width and the neck depth, I'm using 2 by 2. That's 2 inches by 2 inches, and that is 2 inches neck width and 2 inches neck depth. Okay, so I'll cover out my neckline. Right, so you can use 2.5 by 2.5 depending on what you want to work with. Okay, for this tutorial I'll be using a bias strip to turn the neckline, so to give me additional allowance there. So the shoulder slope I did 1/2 inch. Okay, then I'll measure half of the armhole, then come in by 1/2 inch. All right, then on the chest line I'll mark the chest divided by 4 plus 2 inches. The chest divided by 4 gave me 6 plus 2 inches, and that is 8. Okay, so I'm marking that on the chest line and on the half leg because for a child, for this child, the waist and the chest measurement is the same. All right, so I'll draft my armhole like so. Now you're done with the upper part. Okay, so like I was saying, for the neck width and the neck depth, you can do 2 by 2.5. Okay, or 2.5 by 2.5 depending on what you're working with. But I'll be cutting a bias strip, okay, to turn my neckline. All right, so I'll be using extra 1/2 inch, so that would add 1/2 inch to my neck width and my neck depth. So at the end of the day I'll have 2.5 by 2.5. I hope you understand what that means. Okay, so after cutting I now have the 2 pieces. Okay, this would give me the front and the back upper parts. Okay, upper bodies. All right, so you can see I have 2 pieces there. Now I want to cut the lower part, and that is where the short or the playsuit comes in place. Okay, so as usual I folded my fabric into the first 2 folds, then into another 2 folds. That's folding into 4. All right, so I'll also mark out my starting point, okay, just so that I get the line very straight and even. I don't want to have any short out or cut out there. All right, so from there I'll mark the length of the pants. Okay, and I have 12 inches as the length from the half length to where the playsuit would end. Okay, so that's 12 inches plus seam allowance inclusive. Now I also pin this down, okay, so it doesn't move around. Okay, my fan is blazing. Like, okay, all right, so I'm just pinning it down. Okay, then I'll cut this out just so that we would have our working piece. I've said it before, so that we concentrate on this particular one. Now you will need the upper bodies that you've already cut out. Okay, so I'll get the upper bodies like so, because it's also, you have to put it on fold. Okay, just like the way we cut it out. So you place it on fold and just picking one piece. I'm picking out one piece for this. Then I'll place it on the starting point. Okay, making sure that all the lines properly align together. Then I'll mark what I have on the upper body. So I hope you understood that. Okay, then the next thing will be to mark the crotch depth, and this is 8.5 for this particular measurement. Okay, so I'll also rule that out like so. Then I also connect this line. Okay, this is where the waistline, okay, for the top is. Okay, or you can just mark your waist, the waist divided by 4 plus 2 inches. Okay, so now on the crotch, I'm marking 1.5 for the crotch curve. Okay, so I'll use my curve ruler to connect that. Okay, please, if you're confused as what I did at the upper part, just mark whatever you marked on the waistline of the upper bodies, on the waistline of the pants. Okay, now remember that this is 1.5. okay, extra 1.5 for the crotch, so it means on the trouser length I'm going to come in by 1.5. okay, just so that I can shape in the pants. Okay, so I'll connect that. Okay, so that will give me the shape for the pant, and it's wide enough to accommodate the child's leg. Okay, it's not a fitted pant. Now to this crotch part, I'm adding half-inch allowance. Okay, this is optional. You can decide to add the half-inch, you can decide to leave it. Okay, it's optional. At the end of the day, even if you don't add the half-inch, your pants would still fit into the top. Okay, I just did this because I like to have a little bit of allowance at the trouser part, so that I can pleat it. I can just have little pleats around the trouser. Okay, so I'll cut that out. So this is what it looks like. Okay, so I'll open it up. Now it's not going to have any hip curve. This is a child, there's no hip curve or anything. Okay, so by the time I open this out, this is what I'll have. Please don't be scared, don't be frightened. Okay, I'm sure you've not seen a trouser like this, or you might have seen. All right, so I'll just sew by half-inch. Okay, along the crotch curve, I'll sew by half-inch. Okay, so I'm done sewing that, as you can see. So this is not like our normal trouser tutorial, okay, but this is just for a child, and this method works, and it's very fast. It works and it's very fast. Okay, so you can see I've sewn by half-inch and I've overlocked the edges. So I'll pinch it and bring it out like so. Okay, that is not magic. I'll do it again. All right, you can see how it is. I'll just push out the middle. Okay, so that the crotch curve is in the middle of the fabric. Okay, just come to the midpoint like so. You can see. So this is it. Then you can see the lower parts. Okay, so there I'll sew with half-inch, or then before then you fold the hem. Okay, so before you sew by half-inch, you just fold the hem first. Okay, you hem it half-inch into 2, then you go and hem it all round, then you sew the lower part to the bottom. Okay, so you can see I've hemmed the bottom of the trouser, and I've also sewn by half-inch. Okay, as you can see, so I've overlocked this. Okay, I've also overlocked it so that everything is clean and beautiful. Right, so now we'll go back to the upper bodies. Then you separate the front from the back. So this is now the front pattern, okay, or the front piece. All right, so I'll place it together. I place it on fold, okay, because I need to open it up, because it's going to have a bottom placket. Okay, I'm going to be attaching buttons to this, so I have to open it up so that I can attach the bottom placket and the facing for the pocket, for the button. All right, so I slash it open, as you can see. So this is the front pattern. Okay, I've slashed it open. One side would have the bottom placket, the other side would have the facing. Okay, so that brings us to cutting the facing and the placket. Now I'll measure what I have from the neckline there down to the length of the top. Okay, and I have 8 inches, 8.25 there, so I'll just approximate it to 8.5. okay, when I'm done cutting, I can just trim off the excess. Now I want to cut the bottom placket and the facing. Okay, so the bottom placket will be 3 inches wide, and the placket will be 2 inches wide. Now I've marked 8.5 as the length. Remember, that's what we measured when we took the measurement on the top. All right, so I'm marking 3 inches as the width of the placket. All right, then I also said that for the facing, I also mark the 8.5 inches length, as you can see. Then the facing is 2 inches wide. Okay, so the placket is 3 inches wide and the facing is 2 inches wide. Okay, and the length for the both of them is 8.5. On the top we measured 8.25. We approximated it, okay, so that we don't have a shortage. It's also better to have an excess than you have a shortage, so that when you're done you trim it off. Right, so I'm cutting this out. This is for the button, the facing, then this is for the button placket. Okay, so I'll also show us how to attach it in case you're confused on how to attach your facing and your placket. Okay, so the fan is just blowing everything off apart. I don't understand. I'm just anyway, let's continue. Okay, now calm down. All right, so these are the two front pieces. Remember, there are two now because we slashed it open. So we'll attach the bottom placket to the right hand side. Okay, the bottom placket is on the right hand side, so I'll attach it right side facing right side, then I'll sew with 1/2 inch. Okay, then the facing, I'll also place it right side facing right side, and I'll sew it 1/2 inch. I'll go to the sewing machine to show us this. Okay, so this is the facing, right? So I've placed the facing on the front pattern. Okay, right side facing right side, then I'll sew with 1/2 inch allowance. Okay, so as you can see, so I'm sewing with 1/2 inch all the way from the top to the lower part. Okay, so make sure that you back stitch at the beginning of your stitch and at the end of your stitch to secure your stitching. All right, so when I open it up, it's like this. So I'll bring it to the back. I fold into like so. I'll fold it like so, fold to meet the stitch you made, then use the remaining one to cover up the 1/2 inch allowance there. Okay, that allowance you sewed by. Okay, so I'll then stitch on it. I hope you understand what I did there. Just fold it to the allowance, so where you made your stitch, then use it to cover up the excess fabric there. Okay, that 1/2 inch you sewed by, use it to cover it so that it's very clean and neat. Okay, so don't mind our little tailor here, she just wants to see everything. The outfit is for her anyways. So now for the placket, I also place it right side facing right side, then I'll go and sew by 1/2 inch. Okay, so from the lower part to the upper part, I'll sew by 1/2 inch, like so, from the top to the lower part. All right, so remember to secure your stitches by back stitching, okay, or doing a reverse stitch. For those of us that are not in Nigeria, those of us that call it reverse stitch. Okay, so after joining like so, I'll fold in 1/2 inch, okay, like so, then use it to cover up the stitch. Okay, to cover up my stitch line, then I'll stitch on it. So this gives me the bottom placket, while the other one is just the facing to cover up the stitching. Okay, so this gives us, you can see, fold with 1/2 inch, then use it to cover up your stitch line. Okay, the stitch you used in joining the placket to the dress, to the top. Okay, so I'll stitch on it. So this gives me 1 inch allowance. Okay, 1 inch added to my top. Okay, so this is where I would sew my buttons. Okay, now the other one is where I would make the button holes. Okay, so the bottom placket is where you attach or where you fix your buttons, then the other one is where you do your button holes. So this is it, you can see. So this, I'll cut out the excess. Like I said, I like to have an excess than a shortage. Okay, so that's why I made 8.5 instead of 8.25. All right, so you place it like so. Let the facing overlap the placket like so. Okay, so I'll just use my pin to hold it down, just in form of a button, in form of we've attached a button. Okay, and this is so that it doesn't move around when we are coupling the back. and the front together. Okay, so if you're watching till this time, like this is 14 minutes and 27 seconds into this video and you're still watching, God bless you. God will bless the works of your hands. He would prosper you. Please don't forget to subscribe, turn on your notification bell, like this video, comment, share with your friends, and I love you so much. You're the reason I keep doing this. Right, so the back facing the front, like right sides facing right sides, I'll sew the shoulder and the sides with half inch. Okay, half inch for the shoulder and half inch for the sides. Now you can see that on the sides I have half inch excess. Okay, so I'll trim that out. Okay, the back, sorry, is wider than the front, and that is because the front we took half inch on both sides for the bottom placket and the facing. Okay, and the back there was nothing like that, so that half inch is the half inch we took for the bottom placket, so that's why I trimmed that off. Now this is the lower part, the pant pattern. Okay, so I'm notching the sides. Okay, as you can see, the crotch cuff is in the middle, then I notched the sides. All right, so then I turned it to the right side. Okay, so this is the right side of my pants pattern, so I'll tuck it into the upper bodice. Now the upper bodice is on the wrong side, it's facing the wrong side. Okay, so that way the right side of the upper bodice would face or would meet the right side of the pants pattern. Okay, so I'll match up the part I notched with the side seam. Okay, as you can see me do. Okay, so this is the notched area, as you can see. So I'll match it up with the side seam, then use my pins to hold it in place. Okay, so then I would go and sew it round by half inch. Okay, now so at this point the pants pattern might be a little bit bigger than the upper bodies, so you just make tiny pleats round it just so that you'd have everything in place. Okay, so any part that gets bigger than the upper part, just pleat it, just make tiny pleats. Okay, then sew by half inch round, all round. Okay, you're not skipping any part. So if you get any part that's bigger, just pleat it in. Okay, so I've sewn with half inch and I've also overlocked, so you can see my half inch seam all the way round. Okay, so I also show us my tiny pleats. You can see this pleat here is another pleat, and this is another pleat, so I have like 3 pleats all together. Okay, so if the lower part is a bit of in Essex, you just split it. Okay, so when I pull it out, this is what it looks like. So I'll just turn to the right side. Okay, I'll take out the pins and turn it to the right side. Okay, so I turn to the right side, and this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like, guys. Okay, so look at how beautiful it turned out to be. We're not done yet. Okay, so you can see my tiny pleats at the back and in the front. You can see the little pleats. Okay, so this is the bottom placket and the facing. Okay, so I'll cut another strip of fabric that is 2 inches wide. This is 2 inches wide, and the length would be from the measurement of your dress. So I'll measure the front. I have around 15 inches. Okay, so it means 15 for the front, 15 for the back. That's 30. So you can add extra 3 to 4 inches to it. Okay, just to be on the safe side, because we're going to be folding. So here I have around 36, if I'm not mistaken. I have like 37, 38. Okay, so I have it in Essex, but I'll cut it out when I'm done. Okay, so remember it's 2 inches wide, so I'll use my chalk to mark out the midpoint. Okay, the center point, or the crotch curve, the center point. Okay, so I'll fold into 2 like so. I'll fold it into, this is the strip of fabric that I cut. Okay, so I'll just stitch on it to hold it firm. All right, so what I'm making is the casing for the strings. Okay, the strips, because we're going to be attaching draw strips to it so that you can be drawing it. I hope you understand that. Okay, so then I fold in by half inch like so. Remember, you fold half inch to the upwards and downwards. Okay, so for now I'm sewing the upper part first, so I folded in 1/2 inch. Okay, so I want the casing to be in to conceal the stitching, okay, the joining of the upper part and the lower part, so it's going to conceal it. Right, so you open up your fabric like so, just so that you are sure that you're not stitching on any side, you're just stitching the casing to the fabric, you're not joining any other parts together. Okay, so I'm sewing like so, like this. You can see I'm pushing out all my fabrics underneath, then I folded in 1/2 inch, so I'll sew it all the way down. Okay, so as I'm sewing, I'm folding in 1/2 inch, then I'm minding the midpoint just to be sure that I'm covering it up with the casing. Okay, like so. You can see how carefully I'm doing this and how I'm taking my time to do it. Right, so when you get to the end of it, you can see that chalk part. Okay, that place I chalked, so you're going to cut out the excess fabric, okay, for the stripe or the strip of fabric we cut out. Okay, so like you did for the at the beginning, you also fold into 2, but here you won't be able to make a stitch on it. Okay, so you just fold it, then place your hand on it and stitch it through. Okay, so madam is coming to oversee that her dress is done. All right, so I also cut that. I've just cut out my excess fabric, or the excess thread, sorry. So now we are done with the upper part, so we also sew for the lower part. You can see so also folding 1/2 inch like so. Now when we started from the left hand side, so now we're starting from the right hand side, okay, to sew this part. So I was folding 1/2 inch like so, then also stitch it round, okay, so that will cover the lower parts. Okay, like I said, this is the casing, because we're going to attach another strip of fabric into it so that you can draw it, so that by the time you draw it, just like an elastic, okay, it will snap into the child's waist measurement, or it will snap in to give it a little bit fitting or more fitting. Okay, so I fold 1/2 inch. Okay, remember it's 2 inches. We folded 1/2 inch for the upper part, then this other 1/2 inches for the lower part, then we'll be left with 1 inch for the casing. Okay, so and this is the time my thread decides to cut, but you know now, so we keep working, we move. All right, so I start sewing. Remember, I'm folding in 1/2 inch inside. Okay, 1/2 inch like so. All right, so have you missed me? Like, I've been away from this channel for like 2 weeks. I've been away for like 2 weeks. I traveled for a funeral and I'm back, so stay tuned to this channel for more videos. Did you miss me? I missed you. I missed doing this. Okay, so I'm folding in 1/2 inch and I'm sewing all the way. Okay, so as I'm sewing, I'm folding in my 1/2 inch. Okay, so I need to zoom this in so you can see what I'm doing properly. Okay, so you can see, so folding 1/2 inch, keep sewing. Make sure that you're pushing out your fabric so that you're not sewing on top of it, because if you make that mistake, you're just losing everything you've made and continue and start all over again. All right, so I'll sew from here down to the top, to where we started from. Okay, so we're done. Right, we're done. So right there, after that, you can now make your strip of fabric. You can see the casing. Okay, so you can see I can put my finger inside there. All right, so now this is my strip of fabric. Okay, I used a satin that has the same color with the fabric, okay, that I worked with. So I used my safety pin to push it in. Okay, I'll put the safety pin into the strip of fabric. Okay, so for this I cut out 1.5 inches, then the length is around 38. Okay, then I folded it in, then I folded it in 1/2 inch into 2, then coupled it, okay, just so that I can make this strip of fabric. All right, so I use my safety pin to fill it round into the casing. Okay, so you can draw it like this and tie it so it will give it more fitting, okay, depending on how you want the look to be. Now afterwards, I also cut a long strip of fabric and I use it to hem or to tape the upper part, the neckline. Okay, so I use it to, pipe the neckline. So like so, use it to go round the neckline. You sew with 1/2 inch, then after sewing you notch on it. Okay, cut out the excess, then also use it to pipe the armhole as well. Okay, so if you don't know how to use your fabric to make a bias to pipe your neckline and your armhole, please comment, drop the link, drop the comments in the comment section, and I'll just make the video. So I've piped the neckline with the fabric. I also use the fabric to pipe the armhole, and this is what it looks like. So this is the top, this is the play suit. Okay, so I've attached my button, I've made my buttonhole, so the play suit is ready, like so beautiful. This is it. Okay, I've made like 3 pieces for my little baby, and she likes to rock it, and she's so happy whenever she wears it. So make this for your child, make it for your clients. Okay, you can make it as a gift. It is super beautiful and very easy to make. Okay, so share with me. If you make yours, please share with us on our sewing group on Facebook. Learn to sew with Nani on Facebook. So this is my little baby rocking one of her play suits.